New Year's Eve 2005. Like most families, the Griffeys were celebrating. Mum Diane and her 3 kids had invited a bunch of friends to their large property in Victoria. But there was someone missing. The head of the house, husband and father, Michael Griffey. Well, to be precise, he was there. He was in the garage, only metres away, his body covered by a tarp. He had been lying there in a pool of blood for days.
My name is Denham Hitchcock, and I've been working in television news and current affairs for 25 years. I've covered war zones, natural disasters, I've seen the best in mankind and the absolute worst. But I have never seen a case like this, with such overwhelming evidence that somebody clearly got away with murder. Now, with your help, this video series will attempt to solve this crime, one of Australia's biggest murder mysteries.
Michael Griffey was far from perfect. He made his mistakes. But what he didn't deserve was to die face down on the concrete floor of his garage, and then for Australia to forget. The crime scene held plenty of clues, and these will be invaluable. Michael had severe head injuries, blunt force trauma to the back of the skull. The attack had been ferocious. There was no forced entry to the garage. A nearby safe was open and empty. His wallet and phone were taken. The boot to his favourite car, a black Monaro, was popped open. Inside was a briefcase, also open, also empty. Finally, his work diary was missing 2 pages, torn out in a hurry, the 27th and the 28th of December.
Well, a family of suspects is, I guess, what you'd call them. A father murdered, and at one point in time, almost every one of his family members has been suspected of killing him.
15 years ago, the case was front-page news. A high-profile investigation was launched. Early on, it seemed each family member had their own motive. None more so than Michael's only son.
I'm heading out at the moment to meet with the son, Kenny. He's never spoken about any of this before. We'll see where it leads us.
I've agreed to a face-to-face chat with Kenny Griffey.
See what he's got to say.
When his father was murdered, he was just 18 years old. Strong, quick-tempered, and at that age, hardly equipped to deal with the enormity of this situation. He has never spoken about any of this, and he is suspicious of the media. After all, to the police, he was the #1 suspect for a long time. The idea of this meeting in country Victoria is for Kenny to decide if he trusts me enough to tell his story. and for me to decide if I can take it beyond the headlines.
Oh, you're not going to believe the information we got now. But, yeah, we're going to have to work hard to prove it.
Helping me with the story is 7 News reporter Taylor Auerbach. We have some miles to cover. In short, gather information, verify claims, find the witnesses. We lodge applications with 5 separate government departments, including the Supreme Court.
Do you think it would likely be this week, mate, that we'd be able to get our hands on it?
It's a process. In Australia, the authorities are never as transparent as they claim to be.
He says he's not sure how long it'll take, but one thing he knows about his registry is that they work quickly.
Sure.
Finding people is also difficult.
My name's Taylor, I'm from Channel 7. I'm just hoping you might be able to help me out with something.
People move on, remarry, change names.
Do you know how old the house is?
Sometimes they're happy to be found,
Can I leave you my card?
sometimes not.
You don't want to know anything about it.
We quickly identify 24 people we want to speak to, but the main players are the obvious ones. There's the victim, Michael Griffey. His then wife, Diane. Then there's Kenny, who I just met in the park. And his 2 sisters, Natasha and Cassandra.
Come on, Michael. How did this happen? Who done it?
Michael had been unfaithful to his wife, Diane, and she was the sole beneficiary of a life insurance policy. The son Kenny had a strained relationship with his father, who had recently stopped funding his race car team. And only 3 people knew the combination to that garage safe, including one of the daughters, Natasha. It's been a week now since I met Kenny in the park. Finally, he makes contact.
How's the night going for you?
It's been busy. It's been very busy.
Hang on a sec, mate. I'm just going to turn the telly down.
You're on it. It's been a little bit hectic. Maverick's a little bit crazy, but it's alright.
Kids are going nuts.
Yeah, nothing good. Ava's in bed already. Tucker's just about cooked.
Oof. Mate, I was wondering if you had a bit more of a think about it, whether we might come over and have a chat to you.
Come over.
Yeah, come over to the house, come over and chat to you.
Look, I'm hesitant, but, I'm sick of hearing that, in the media especially, that nobody cares. I care. I've got some concerns that I want to discuss with you. So if you could come around, that'd be great.
Okay, perfect. We can be there probably tomorrow, probably about tomorrow. Arvo will come over.
Yeah, that'd be fine, mate. I'll make time, no problem.
Okay, great, Kenny. Thanks a lot, mate. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, mate.
Bye.
What Kenny is about to tell me, it could reopen this murder case.
Tell me about the sprint cars. Tell me about the thrill of driving one of those machines.
The drive shaft is between your legs, and that's directly from your engine to your diff. You let off that brake. We're on. Here we go. And your foot's to the floor. You're turning 8,500 RPM. You're probably doing 110 decibels. When you start driving it, the hardest thing is you're driving at 140, 150 k's an hour directly at a wall. And then behind that wall is a crowd full of people cheering you on. And we just smoked them, you know. It's a bucking Bronco. It was amazing.
You loved it, didn't you?
Yeah, I still do. I dream about it, of course.
Let's have a short recap here. I'm speaking with Kenny Griffey, who for a long time was the #1 suspect in his father's death. He's telling his story for the first time. His father, Michael Griffey, was bashed to death inside the family garage. That was 15 years ago. Kenny was the driver in a sprint car team, bankrolled by his father. This will become important later, but for now, we need to know about the family and pay close attention to how he answers these questions.
Was your dad a good father?
You know, I'm 32 now, and I'm a father, and I wouldn't say he was great, but he loved us unconditionally, and that was the main thing, you know. Looking back, I would have loved to, more than anything, to have had more time with him.
Tell me about your sisters.
When I was around 18, Natasha was still studying to be a vet, and her dream was always to be a vet. My younger sister, I sort of didn't spend a lot of time with. She was racing speedway, still in school.
This is Cassie?
Yeah, this is Cassie, yep. It's a long time ago. It's sort of hard to remember. I don't have any fantastic memories of my time with Cassie.
Can you tell me about your mum, Diane?
Yep. I'd say that that's the hardest part of my life, is my mother. It's been my biggest failing, and my biggest pain is Diane. I've got a lot of bad memories of being a kid from 9, 10, all the way through till 18. A lot of alcohol-fueled violence, whether it's verbal or physical, it was violent, and it was directed at us kids.
From your mum?
Yep. I've seen her pin my older sister down to yell at her. I've seen her throw my younger sister over a couch, you know, and these are just little glimpses of memories. She was emotionally violent more than anyone I've known in my life.
There's always something special about a wedding photo. Bright, beaming faces, certain of a bright, happy future. But it doesn't always work out that way. This is Michael and Diane Griffey. It's 1985. At first, it seemed Michael had done the impossible. A plasterer by trade, he turned the family fortunes around when he started transporting gyprock, the stuff used to cover the walls and ceiling in your house.
How many trucks did you have?
I think from memory there was 7.
How profitable is a business like this?
I mean, at the time, I knew that we were successful.
So successful they moved from a small rental apartment to this. A big house on a big block in Pakenham, Victoria, and a beach house in San Remo. Michael had his cars, Diane had the pokies. Between them, money was disappearing, along with their marriage.
Looking back on it now, large family home, tennis court, pool, a lot of brand new cars in the driveway. Was the family living beyond its means?
Oh, 100%. Even at the time, I thought it was too much. I remember thinking, why? Well, this is excessive.
Did they fight much?
Yes, verbally all the time. There's a lot of arguments.
Heated arguments?
Yeah.
Nasty?
Yes, holes in the walls here, and they just shut the door, lock the door, and just go at it. She tried to run him over, he tried to run her over.
With a vehicle?
Yeah.
So how deep did that debt really go? We found out he owed no less than $1,072,000 to the taxman. It was bad enough that Michael had his BMW, worth $200,000, professionally stolen, never to be seen again. It was an insurance job.
Well, when it gets worse, far worse. The same year that Michael was killed, both the NAB Bank and the Bendigo Bank, actually this very branch, held multiple meetings with both Diane and with Michael. Their financial situation was catastrophic. The bank records show every single one of their company accounts was overdrawn. They'd even gone way past their $150,000 overdraft limit. All their credit cards were maxed out. Their checks were bouncing. Now that is a lot of pressure on anyone.
5 a.m. in the morning she'd be drinking, and she would drink all day. I don't know whether that's financial pressure causing that, but that's what I saw.
Did your dad have any close friends at this point in time?
There's always Darren DeLayland, Trendy, was always someone that Dad held in high regard, and so did I.
Darren would be a good person for us to speak to.
Absolutely, because he knew Dad better than anybody else. Dad would tell Trendy everything. If Dad was worried about something, that's who he'd go to.
Yeah, seems like the right house. Hello, Darren.
Yep.
Denham from Channel 7. This is Taylor.
Yep. How are you, mate? How you going?
We're looking into the circumstances surrounding Michael Griffey's death in 2005, and we know you're a close friend of his.
Yeah.
And we're wondering if we might be able to have a few words with you.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, we come in?
Yep.
Thank you. It's a nice house you have here.
Yeah.
You had a accident.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask you a few questions, really, just to see if you might be able to help with some inquiries that we're making into what happened back in 2005. Can I ask, have you had an accident since?
Oh, stroke.
A stroke?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Yeah.
3 years. 3 years. You had a stroke 3 years ago. I'm sorry to hear that, Darren.
Darren tells us he spoke to Michael on the phone the same day police believe he was killed. To be more precise, minutes before he was killed.
2 o'clock.
Around 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the phone call about?
Oh, Jesus Christ almighty.
Darren's memory is intact, but the stroke makes it hard for him to communicate. However, it's clear he wants to tell us something.
Oh, she's money, you know.
She was?
Yeah.
And
Pokies and bloody there. Yeah.
she was at the pokies a lot?
Yeah.
Spending a lot of money?
Yeah.
Drinking?
Yeah.
Michael mentioned anything to you about money that was in a safe?
Yeah.
Do you remember what he said about that?
Yeah.
Did he talk about maybe the amount of money that was in the safe, or? Yeah. This is what he said was in the safe? $50,000
Yeah.
in cash?
Yeah.
He told you that on the phone call?
Yeah.
The same phone call at 2 p.m?
Yeah.
He told you that?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
No, money.
Money that only 3 people were known to have access to. Only Michael, Diane, and their daughter Natasha knew the combination to the safe. There's more. Crucially, Michael tells Darren he is going to remove Diane from the bank accounts and his will.
Do you remember the words he used?
Taking more. Yeah.
He wanted to take her off his will
Yeah.
and take her off the bank accounts.
Yeah.
He said that to you on the phone?
Yeah.
In that phone call?
Yeah.
Darren says at one point he hears Diane in the background.
Do you remember the words that she used?
Who's that?
Back door.
Calm down.
Yeah.
So she was asking, who's there? And he said,
Yeah.
calm down.
Yep.
What happened then? This is about 2 o'clock?
All right, see ya, bang. Go.
Hung up?
Yep.
Darren, what do you think happened?
Bang. Knocked down. Bang, bang, bang.
That day?
Yep.
Did you call him back that day?
Yeah.
You called him back?
Yeah. And ring, 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 ring. And ring, ring, ring. Hang up.
Can I use your whiteboard?
Yep.
They're the family members.
I wanted to know who we should be talking to.
Not Natasha, not Cassandra, not Kenny. Diane, no doubt.
In 2005, and Michael Griffey is in trouble. His debt is unsustainable, and his marriage to Diane is crumbling. They are spending more and more time apart. My chat with Michael's best mate, Darren DeLeyland, is surprising, and we left his house with far more information than expected.
You spoke to him?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was on the day, on the 29th?
Yeah.
Darren, what do you think happened?
Bang. Knocked down. Bang, bang, bang.
How about that?
That was extraordinary.
Yeah. So the one guy that spoke to him possibly minutes before he was killed, all that information is locked in his mind there. He had a stroke. He holds all the answers and he can hardly get it out. But that was quite significant. What he's saying is he spoke to Michael, and while he was on the phone, he told him about troubles he was having with his wife, Diane, that he was going to cut her out of the will. He then hears Diane in the background, the phone call finishes, then he goes to call him back a few minutes later. He never answers. He called 12, 13, 14 times. Michael never answered.
And if all that sounds bad, it gets worse.
It's fair to say that your father was a ladies' man.
Yeah, so I didn't realise how deep that ran until all this.
How many different women was he seeing at this period in time?
From what I can gather, he was still sleeping with Mum, and I can think of 4 others.
These kind of arrangements usually are expensive as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Some cars that he'd bought, like a Z3 Roadster, isn't really a manly car. It didn't really suit him, but I would assume that one of his lady friends had liked those, so he bought one. I would assume he was spending quite a lot on that, yeah.
How much of this did Diane know? Was this the cause of all those arguments? It does make for one hell of a motive. Of the 4 women Michael was supposedly seeing, he did have someone special. A woman he had been visiting on and off for 5 years. We called her the mistress, but in reality she was much more than that. Her name is Gillian.
Hello,
Hi,
Gillian.
how you going?
Taylor.
It is Taylor.
Channel 7, how are you?
Denham.
In the years since,
And then
Gillian
there's
had
something.
remarried, so she was hard to find.
The blinds can go down if you want. So, that's all right.
Can I ask how you met Michael?
He was a customer. I worked for Bendigo Bank, and he was a customer there, him and his wife. And
how often were you seeing him?
Well, fairly often. Yeah, we were in a relationship for 5 years, so probably, a couple of times a week, I suppose.
Well, and you don't spend 5 years with anyone without loving him, do you?
No, look, I did love him, and, I'll never forget. And, he just made you laugh. He was just great to be around, Some people are just really good to be around, and that was Michael. Just a great character.
Do you miss him?
Oh, yeah.
Did you meet Diane at all?
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew her as a customer. She disliked me, basically, because I guess she didn't want him as a partner, but she didn't want anyone else to have him, I think that was the situation. So it made it very hard with her, being a customer. Very awkward.
Because Gillian worked at the bank where Michael and Diane had their accounts, she is uniquely qualified to answer one of the most important questions so far.
Part of my job was to do what we call the dishonour report. It was one day when I was doing that report that I saw that there was cheques bouncing from their business account, She'd taken over that side of things, and I think what was happening was she was trying to discredit him. I had to ring him. He was signature on the account, and he was furious. He was really furious.
Did Michael ever talk to you about his wish to remove her from his will or to remove her from control of the bank accounts?
Yes.
What did he say?
Yeah, well, see, Michael told me he was making a new will, and he said, I've opened up a can of worms. He said, I'm going down the bank now to have her name taken off the account. He was actually talking about her getting committed.
Mentally?
Yeah.
That confirms what Darren had told us, and something else. This is jumping ahead a little here, but it's important. Michael was bashed to death on the 29th of December. Over the next 4 days that passed, including New Year's Eve, no one, not his wife, not his kids, not a single friend, reported him as missing. It turns out the person who finally made the call to police was Gillian.
We'd made plans to go to spend New Year's Eve together.
And then New Year's Eve comes around and you haven't heard from him?
Yeah, and then of course, as days went by, I'm thinking, this is not right.
So the 2nd of January, you call police?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you said?
I just feel there's something wrong because it's not in his character. Because I wasn't his wife, are you sure he wants to be found? Saying things like that, Yeah, so and then the detectives turned up here in the morning.
What did they tell you?
Oh, they told me he had been found and he was murdered. Yeah, he'd been murdered. I went into shock. I was just a mess. Shaking and, yeah.
Still upsets you now?
Yeah.
Gillian told us she kept some documents she received from police at the time. She's held on to them for all these years.
So it's a bit crowded in here. I don't know if you can come. How about that?
These will be helpful in the coming weeks.
Do you mind if we take this with us and photocopy it?
Fear of being labelled the other woman stopped Gillian from ever telling her story.
There was one incident where the whole family actually attacked Michael. They were at some barbecue or something because they were big drinkers, and they attacked Michael, and he ended up in the Wonthaggi hospital.
And when you say the whole family, as in Diane
His kids.
And the 3 kids?
Yeah.
And Diane?
I think it was, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Diane and the 3 kids attacked him?
Yeah.
From the little I know about Diane, Gillian seems to be the exact opposite.
Not everybody has the courage to talk about these sort of things.
Hasn't been easy, but I've done it.
Yeah.
And really, she is still trapped somewhere between guilt and grief. Even though the situation was messy, I can't help but feel for her that things didn't work out.
Did you expect that a killer would have been caught by now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, if that was my husband, well, I would be screaming from the rooftops, who's done this? You know, you've got to find him. But when you see her, she's never opened her mouth. She's never said a word. And I just think it speaks volumes. I just think it'd be human nature to be wanting to know who the hell did this, you know. And she's never said it.
Michael Griffey loved his V8 Monaro. He would drive it for the last time on the 29th of December 2005. He travelled from his San Remo beach house towards the main residence in Pakenham.
It's 7:39 a.m. and Michael Griffey pulls into this very service station in Granville. He buys an orange juice, a cup of coffee, and he puts 58 litres of unleaded petrol into the Monaro. Now, remember that, 58 litres, because later that will become crucial evidence.
He arrived at the Pakenham address just after 8 a.m. Police believe between 2:30 and 3 p.m. that day in the family garage, he was savagely beaten to death with a metal object. His body would lie there for 4 long days. Remember, his best mate Darren told us he spoke to Michael less than 1 hour before this happened. Michael told him he had 50 grand in the safe.
Yeah.
In cash?
Yeah.
And he was planning to take Diane out of his will and off the bank accounts. The crime scene held plenty of clues. There was no forced entry to the garage. The safe was open and empty. Wallet and phone were taken. The boot to the Monaro was popped open. Inside is an empty briefcase. The body was covered by a striped sheet, and over the top of that, a grey tarpaulin. Finally, his work diary was missing 2 pages, torn out in a hurry, the 27th and the 28th of December. So what's Kenny's version of events the day his father was murdered? Let's find out.
29th of December 2005 is a Thursday.
Yep.
Tell me about that day from your perspective, from the beginning.
So that day, I started the day, I think I'd slept in, I can't remember, but the first thing I did was I went in the F-250 and went down to the Andrew Builders to see where we were at, what we needed, what it was going to cost.
Only days earlier, Kenny had blown the engine in his sprint car. He was due to be competing in an important race that weekend, so he was desperate to get it fixed.
Who was the engine builder?
Andrew Blackwell was the engine builder.
Do you know roughly what time this was?
That was in the morning, so I think that was, it would be between 9 and 12, I presume, somewhere around there.
So you saw Andrew, spoke to him about the engine in the car?
Yep.
And you came back to the family home?
Yep. Yeah, so I pulled up, went inside, Mum and Dad were there.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them.
Kenny says the atmosphere in the house is tense. Michael has a bombshell for Kenny about the racing team.
And Dad said, well, we're struggling, we're not going to be able to do that. Let's just park it for a few weeks.
Dad told you didn't have the funds to repair the car, keep going?
Yeah, pretty much.
What was your reaction?
I was disappointed.
To your father?
Yeah, I was disappointed.
Was it an argument?
No, I don't think so.
Then what happened?
So from what I can recall, I went back to Andrew Blackwell, the Andrew Builders, and
what
told
time
him,
was that?
I think that was about 2.
That's important. as Michael was killed between 2:30 and 3 p.m.
So you went back to tell him, yep, we can't go ahead with the repairs.
Yeah, it's gonna take a week or whatever. Dad's working it out.
Why didn't you just call him on the phone?
I'd known him a long time. We were good friends, Andrew and I.
You tell me, is it odd that you didn't call him on the phone as opposed to go to tell him that...
I honestly don't think I even had his phone number. I wouldn't have had Andrew's phone number. So
you left Andrew,
yep,
back to the family home,
yep,
for the second time.
Yep.
What time was that?
I think it's about... I'm trying to think now, maybe 3... Yeah, it would be around 3.
And what do you remember?
Dad, Manara was pulling out. He was probably... So he was... I saw him backing out as I was coming up about 500 metres away.
You saw your dad's car reversing out of the driveway?
Yeah, black Manara was backing out, yep.
So there's no mistaking that it was your dad's car, no 100%. Mistaking that you saw him coming out?
Yep. I saw him backing out, so I saw his tail lights and then took off. And I remember him driving... Well, we drove past each other as I drove into the driveway.
Clear about that?
100%, yep. 100% saw him driving.
Police say by this time, Michael was already dead.
The police measured the amount of petrol that was left in your dad's car.
Yep.
And they determined that there was only enough petrol for it to drive from the service station he filled it up at to the family home. Not enough for it to leave and return from anywhere else.
Yep.
Are you certain you saw his car leave that day?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. I didn't see where it went, where it turned, but I definitely saw it pull out, yeah. It's just the sort of thing that sticks in your memory.
Would you have any explanation for why the petrol that's remaining in the tank doesn't back up that version of events?
No, I can't explain that. Whether it didn't go very far, I don't know. I can't explain that.
Police are certain Michael was dead by 3 p.m. and supporting that, the petrol in the tank suggests he never left the house. But Kenny says he did. And curiously, Diane backs him up, but her version is different again.
Your mum, Diane's statement, says that when your father pulled out, that you were standing beside her.
Right.
If Diane is saying that you were standing beside her and you both saw the car drive away,
yep,
somebody is lying.
Yep. So where does she say we were standing?
In the driveway.
No, there's no way. No, we definitely weren't standing in the driveway. I would have no reason to. I was definitely in the car when I saw Dad.
This is unexpected. Parts of Kenny's story don't add up. Most importantly, his alibi for the time his father was killed. But there's an easy way to clear this up.
There'd have to be cars or something out the front.
Find the mechanic he went to see that day, Andrew Blackwell.
We're after Andrew if he's around.
Blackwell Motors?
No. He used to be next door.
Hey mate, how are you? Good, thanks. We're after Andrew Blackwell if he's in.
Don't know, we've never met him,
He
but
hides out the back.
every person comes here looking for him.
Yeah, he's Kenny's alibi. He's everything, really. Race garage? No, he said no signage. Potentially Kenny's alibi.
He's a bloke with a shop with no phone number or signage on it that doesn't want to be found.
We'll find this fella. It's after Andrew if he's in.
We don't have an Andrew here.
Don't have an Andrew Blackwell here. Okay.
He's the only person who can confirm if Kenny was at the house or not at the time of Michael's murder.
I think he's around the back of it.
Next door.
Next door. G'day. How are ya?
Mate.
Just looking for Andrew Blackwell from Blackwell Motors.
Yeah. What about?
Denham from Channel 7. We're looking into a story from a little while ago, and we just wanted to see if his recollection matches some of the stuff that we got.
It's a house.
Are you Andrew?
No, he's down the back.
Oh, we'll explain it to him.
He's a bit busy though.
We can wait, mate. It's all right.
Yeah.
Just want to have a chat. That's all.
He's not interested at all.
I write a question down on a piece of paper. Did he see Kenny that day? They take it to Andrew, but his answer is he's busy. He hasn't even had time for lunch.
We don't mind coming back later, Sabo or whatever, so we might go and try and find some lunch. For some reason, he doesn't want to come out, didn't even want to talk to us. Well, he did say he couldn't talk because he hadn't had lunch and he was getting a little grumpy, so I thought we'd bring him a toasted sandwich. See how we go. Tell him I got him lunch.
Finally, Andrew Blackburn.
Andrew. Denham.
Listen, I'm trying to roll ahead, but I've only got 5 seconds.
Understand. Did Kenny come to see you that day?
Kenny came and seen us, but I can't remember if it was that day or the next day.
It was 15 years ago. Details will be hazy, but I'm hoping to confirm the important things.
From what we understand, they told Kenny that the race team was over, and that same day he came back to tell you the race team is kaput. I don't want the engine fixed because we can't pay for it.
Yeah, I probably would remember that. I don't recall that.
Don't recall? So you don't recall Kenny having any conversation with you personally about that's it, we're done?
No.
Don't worry about fixing the engine?
No.
Sorry, but we're over?
No. Di said it's not happening.
Saturday morning. So Diane said to you, Saturday morning, race team is done.
Basically, I don't know if she said it's done, but she said they're not racing this weekend. I remember that. It was definitely Di.
Okay. Well, that helps a lot. Oh, well, that was interesting. Very interesting. Kenny didn't tell him that the team was done. That was Diane. And maybe he came here on the day, maybe he didn't, but doesn't quite add up to the story that we...
That's the truck. You ready to go?
Yeah.
You gonna go chipper shop? Get some chippies. They're gonna play at the park? Yeah, it's gonna be good, isn't it? High five? Let's do it.
In the years since his father's murder, Kenny Griffey could have gone the wrong way, but he didn't. He began his own trucking business, got back on his feet, met Katie, and they started a family. Tucker, Ava, and little Maverick. We spent time with them and the kids, got to know them. Katie, warm but wary, protective of her husband.
You go so high.
The kids, well cared for, well loved, full of life. Kenny, well, his story isn't finished just yet.
Yummy. Oh, you're happy?
15 years, Kenny. Why have you decided to speak now?
I've always wanted to tell my story. I want people to know that I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay that Dad was killed. I'm not okay with any of it. And unfortunately, it's taken 15 years to be able to speak about it like this.
Police believe his father was bashed to death between 2:30 p.m. and 3 p.m. on the 29th of December 2005.
On that day, the 29th, and the days afterwards, the racing team, which you were part of, wanted to know if a race was coming up that weekend, and they called your phone multiple times. You never answered.
No, I didn't. I vividly remember looking at my phone and being upset and thinking, you know, I shouldn't have to do this. This is, if we can't afford to race.
You remember the phone ringing?
Yeah, I remember being in my car.
And deciding not to pick it up?
Yeah, 100% deciding not to pick it up because I didn't want to let them down. And it's one of my biggest regrets of the whole thing is I was an 18-year-old kid with too much on my plate, and I didn't want to let these guys down. and that's why I didn't answer my calls.
Is that one of the reasons that some suspicion in the early days fell towards you?
Yeah,
Is that one of the reasons? You're part of this team, they're calling you, you don't pick up.
I think
it
so.
Seems odd.
Yeah, of course it does. And looking back on it, it does 100% seem odd.
Kenny, I have to ask you this question.
Yep.
Did you murder your father?
No, I didn't kill my dad. 100% did not kill my dad.
Kenny says he was at the mechanics at that time and returned home to see his father driving up the road.
So you get out of the car,
Yep.
you go into the house, who do you see?
So I didn't even make it into the house. Diane met me on the balcony. I didn't make it into the house. She stopped me. Whatever the first thing she said, she'd opened her mouth and I'd seen that her teeth were broken. And I said, what happened? And she said, oh, bloody, I bit into an apple and I've snapped my teeth.
An apple broke my teeth.
There. Yeah, that's what she said.
And when you say broken teeth, chipped?
So about half of her front teeth were missing. So the front, I think it was mostly the front two, were broken at least halfway up. And really, I remember them being really jagged.
Was she upset? Was she agitated?
She was agitated. She was definitely, and a little bit on edge. She was a little bit edgy. And she did seem a little bit upset, but not massively. She seemed a little bit shaky.
You'd seen her only hours prior before you went back to the engine place.
Yep.
What was the condition of her teeth?
No, they were fine.
So somewhere in that 3 to 4 hour period, she'd smashed her front teeth.
Yeah, it looked that way. Yeah.
If this is true, it's damning evidence. Could that injury have happened during a struggle with her husband? Could it have been Michael fighting back? Diane did have an appointment with the dentist later that day, but so far, we don't have those records. Back at the home in Pakenham at the end of that Thursday, a strange thing happens. It turns out his wife is also seeing someone else, a man called Rodney Meekins. He lives nearby with his son Shannon. The entire family, Diane, Cassie, Kenny and Natasha, drive to his house on the 29th and don't return to the family home until 2 days later. It's New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve 2005, not one you're likely to forget.
No, never.
Who was there at the house that night?
I couldn't give you every name, but there was a fair few people. It was a lot of my older sister's friends, a lot of Cassie's friends.
All family members there, Diane, Cassie, Natasha.
Yep.
Do you remember anything different about their behaviour, their attitude?
At that time, no. I spent a lot of my time with Tash and her friends, and we just sort of hung out and did whatever we did, swum and played and did whatever. But Diane, I don't remember anything odd about her behaviour. It's pretty normal. As long as she's got a drink, she's happy.
In all, there were 14 people at the party, the Griffeys and 9 friends.
Knowing what you know now.
Oh, I hate it. I hate the thought of it. It horrifies me to think that I not only attended, but it was at my house, our house. We had all our closest friends over to celebrate New Year's, and Dad's dead in the garage, and I didn't know. That kills me every day.
Did anyone go into the garage that night?
Shannon Meekins had told me that he'd gone in there. We didn't have an extended conversation about it, but he told me he'd gone in there and that Cassie had stopped him, and he'd turned around and gone out. Yeah, he told me that he'd seen the Monaro in there, the Harley was uncovered, and that the safe was open.
I'm just going to stop you there because this is very important.
Yep.
You're saying Shannon walked into the garage that day and he saw the safe was open?
Yep.
The Monaro was in there with the boot up?
Yep.
And crucially, Cassie stopped him.
Yeah. He definitely told me that Cassie stopped him, and that she was like, "What are you doing in here? Get out, whatever." And
pulled him out of the garage?
Yeah, took him out of the garage, exactly, yep.
Do you think Cassie knew what was in that garage?
Yeah, I think she did, yeah.
done deal with bad people, so we have to pay back on time.
This is a text message sent from Michael's phone to his wife, Diane.
You know I only want you to be happy. Then I'm gonna drown sorrows.
Police believe by the time this text message was sent, Michael was already dead. I should rewind a little here. We got so focused on Kenny's story, we took too long to take a closer look at Diane. We will come back to those messages later. Diane tells police Michael came home at 8 a.m. on the 29th of December. She says they talk about their financial problems, and strangely, she also claims they had sex. Then, at 3 p.m, she supposedly watches Michael drive off for a business meeting. Diane stays at the house all day and eventually leaves in the afternoon to go to the dentist.
Security cameras show Diane visited this service station. She fuels up, she buys a pack of cigarettes and a pair of dark sunglasses.
We know she arrived at the dentist at 5:16 p.m.
But what is disturbing is what happens between here and the dentist. We have the mobile phone records for both Michael and Diane's phone.
Mate, I'm working on this murder story at the moment, and I think it's got something in it that might be in your area of expertise. You know all about phone towers and triangulation and so forth, don't you?
Yeah, I know a bit about it when I was doing job case, yeah. I'll do my best. I mean, you know I'm a cop now, don't you?
Yeah. It's a cold case now, basically. We're just having a look over it. The mobile phone towers, how many of them are there? How widespread are they in a city, in a major city?
In a major city, it varies. They're usually pretty close. Now, most suburbs don't cover an area bigger than 8 or 9 kilometres, so they're overlapping constantly.
2 text messages were sent from Michael's phone to Diane's phone, the first at 4:25 p.m. Remember, police say by now, Michael was already dead.
I got it. Done deal with bad people, so we have to pay back on time, also interest. We'll fix those f***ups. Good luck at dentist. Got 50,000 so I can fix everything.
The next message comes 6 minutes later.
I'll put 5,000 in your savings for you. You and kids deserve it after what I've put you through last couple of months. Then I'm gonna drown sorrows.
If Michael is already dead, clearly he didn't send those messages. Someone was using his phone. One explanation, someone sent a text message to themselves to make it seem like Michael was still alive and dealing with dangerous people. We take a drive to find the cell phone tower that relayed the message. So it was sent, first one was sent and received from this tower.
At 4:25 p.m, yep.
Something's happened. You're from the news.
This is the very phone tower that received that message from Michael's phone. And to be clear, it's 34 kilometres from the family home. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because that is the same phone tower that delivered that message to Diane's phone, meaning both phones were very close to here. Now, we also have the phone tower records, and it shows something else. The message was sent from 129 degrees. That is right there.
So the 2 phones were close together. First phone tower took an SMS message from a direction of 129 degrees true north. A second tower also took a reading, this time at 219 degrees.
This is the exact spot where those two lines intersect, which means the person who had those mobile phones either came to go to the plaza or, more likely, the RSL. We start with the plaza. It's packed with security cameras. No surprise really. Back from 2005, they don't have the security camera records. The cameras here get wiped every 60 days. But the real question is, did police check back then? We know Diane was a chronic pokies addict, so next we hit up the nearby RSL, hoping for at least the old sign-in book.
Well, frustratingly, the RSL only keeps its sign-in records for a period of 7 years, so I don't fancy our chances of turning much up.
We did get one lead, however. The RSL general manager at the time was Graham Keating. He might remember something.
What was your name again, sorry?
It's Taylor.
Taylor, just hang on a second.
Thank you.
Graham Keating is a common name.
We were just hoping to get in touch with Graham Keating.
We have that and a photo, and that's it.
Oh,
hey.
Hello, ma'am. We're looking for Graham Keating.
Yeah?
How you going?
Hey.
Why do I know your face?
Channel 7.
Yeah, I know you, bitch.
So at the time when Graham was general manager there?
No, that's not this Graham Keating.
Different.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank God. What the f*** has he done now? No, sorry. No.
Hello, Graham Keating.
Yeah, g'day Denham.
You're a hard man to find.
Why?
I've travelled across 2 states to find you. This is a nice place.
Thank you.
Oh, lovely. Home gym and everything.
Yeah.
But I might get you just to turn the sound down on the TV.
Yeah.
That's okay. So how long were you the general manager at the RSL?
All up 26 years.
This story that we're looking into would have been a big story at the time for that area. Do you remember the story?
I remember it vaguely. I had a son living at Pakenham, and when I heard it was at Pakenham, I was a bit interested.
Long shot I know because it's a long time ago, but this is the woman we're trying to track her path. It's Diane Griffey.
Yeah, it's I don't remember. We had a lot going on at that time.
Fair enough that you wouldn't remember the person. It was 15 years ago, I understand that, but you probably would remember if police came asking about this particular event.
No, I can't say that I remember directly.
That would be something you'd remember, I would have thought. A story this big, they're asking about a particular woman connected to this case.
Yeah, I think I would have remembered if they had have come and explained it like that.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Denham.
Security footage from either the plaza or the RSL could have proved who had the mobile phones. It would have made what came next far easier. 4 days after Michael's murder, 4 days, it was Gillian, his girlfriend, who finally made the call.
So the 2nd of January, you called police?
Well, I just said that, we'd made plans and I've been trying to contact him for how many days? 4 days or something. And, I just feel there's something wrong because it's not in his character. And she wrote it all down and said she would look into it, yeah.
Diane and Cassie were at Rodney Meakin's house in Alexandra when police called to say Michael was missing. They packed up and drove an hour or so back to Pakenham. They did not make a single phone call, not to Michael, not to anyone. That night, they enter the garage and would later tell police they noticed a lump under a grey tarpaulin and blood on the floor. Without going near it, they called 000, then family.
I remember the smell being horrific and throwing up. I remember getting around the corner and throwing up and thinking, how could that have been my dad? How could it have come to that? Diane was visibly shaken. She was crying. Cassie wasn't making a sound, not one sound. And my older sister, she was a mess, the same as I was.
Detectives question Diane. She tells them she could see the body was covered by a striped sheet, and it was. But the sheet was under the grey tarpaulin, not visible from any angle. Then they find this. In the event of Michael's death, Diane would receive $1.5 million. This would trigger a sensational development in the case. Diane and Kenny are arrested for murder.
Quizzed for 8 hours by detectives who later charged his mother, Kenny Griffey was in no mood for more questions. Nicknamed Boof, the sprint car racer was arrested yesterday.
It's the worst memory I have, is being told that you're under arrest for the murder of your father. Sorry. I got dragged out of a truck with 5 detectives and put in handcuffs a month after I find out my dad's been murdered. And told that I killed him. And told for 10 hours that I killed him. And all the different ways that I did it. It's a complete waste of time. I didn't kill him. It kills me to think about it. I didn't do it.
Kenny was questioned all night, but released without charge the next day. Diane was charged with murder.
Knowing her as you did,
yep.
Could your mother, have killed your father?
Absolutely, without a question of doubt. He wasn't beaten to death hand to hand. He was attacked with a hammer. She's a hard woman. Everybody talks about closure. You know, we want closure, we need a conviction because it's going to give us closure. Well, from what I know, the only 2 people that may be convicted are my younger sister and my mother. That's my closure. It's rough, it's unique, it's horrible. There's nothing good about it.
Nothing is more important than the truth.
Yeah.
With Diane pleading not guilty, for 3 long years prosecutors worked on the case. But there was one more twist to come. On the eve of Diane's murder trial, Cassandra Griffey confessed to killing her father. Diane's trial was sensationally aborted.
When Cassie confessed to murdering your father,
yep.
What did you think?
I wondered if there was more to it because it seemed really good timing that Diane was just about to go on a trial and all of a sudden Cassie comes out and says that she killed Dad. It seemed a bit odd.
What happened to the case against your mother after she confessed?
Yeah, well, the charges were dropped.
Timing is everything. All Diane's defence needed was reasonable doubt, and a confession from Cassie would easily cover that. The prosecution case collapsed. Then, 2 months later, despite the confession, the investigation into Cassie also failed due to lack of evidence. Police couldn't prove it. Incredibly, Diane and Cassie walked free.
Right. Mate.
Sorry, bud, I know it's late, but Taylor sent me this message, says, you're not going to believe this, come to the room. So, I figured as soon as you're just down the corridor, you may as well come. Yo! Hey!
Mate, you're not going to believe this.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's a confession, a video confession.
Bullshit.
Honestly.
Is that what I think it is?
Yeah.
When Diane and Cassandra Griffey left court in 2009, they essentially disappeared. With the police case in disarray and Diane cleared of any charges, she received the $1.5 million insurance payout from Michael's death. A man had been murdered and someone had got away with it. So, where are they now? This is Diane Griffey, now 56 years old. She works at a company called Plaster Plus. She still drives trucks for a living, hauling commercial quantities of gyprock for the building industry. This is Cassandra Griffey, no longer a 16-year-old girl. She is now 30 years old. Like her mother, she hauls gyprock, but works as a contractor for several companies. We're just heading up to what we think is Diane and Cassie's place right now. Incredibly, Diane and Cassie live together on this small property outside Melbourne. There's some trucks in the backyard. Cars and trucks scattered all over the property. A tall makeshift fence built for privacy. There's no sign of the $1 million insurance payout here. It's important to us they have a right of reply, a chance to explain the parts of the story that don't add up. But first, we want to talk to the people who knew them best, their respective boyfriends at the time of Michael's murder. Diane was seeing a man called Rodney Meekins. Cassandra was dating his son, Shannon. Remember, at the big New Year's Eve party, Shannon walked into the garage that night and saw the car boot open, the safe empty. Something wasn't right. He says Cassie had dragged him out and shut the door. This is Shannon's house. A bloke in that truck. Yeah. G'day mate, we're looking for Shannon.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Denham.
Right.
How are you?
Good.
Nice to meet you. Just wanted to talk to you about Michael Griffey's death, and in particular Cassie.
Fuck's
Just
sake.
a couple of questions.
No.
We're a documentary team.
Doesn't matter.
We're at the very early stages.
Hang on, no, I'm not up for this. Where you have had to find me. No, I'm not involved in any of that whatsoever.
We'd like to know about New Year's Eve. Cassie pulled you out of the garage.
No.
You went to go into the garage on New Year's Eve. Cassie pulled you back. Shannon. Shannon, mate, it's just a couple of questions.
No,
We're just trying to work out what happened.
Not even. I'm not even going to talk about it. No,
What would you like to say? What would you like to say?
I don't want to say anything.
Nothing at all.
I want you to get off my property.
Yeah, we can get off the property. Did Cassie pull you out of that garage when you saw something?
Mate,
Did she pull you out that night?
the property now. I won't say it again.
To me, this is confusing. Shannon's first reaction is one of anger. He's now filming us on his mobile phone. I'm hoping we'll get a more measured response from his father, Rodney. Rodney Meekins was seeing Diane at the time of the murder. He was with her throughout the entire courtroom ordeal. And for me, critically, he spoke to Diane twice on the phone, only hours after Michael was killed. We wait outside Rodney's property until he returns home from work. Rodney, how are you? I'm Denham from Channel 7. How are you going?
Yeah, good.
And I'm just calling. We're here. But it's just a couple of questions about Michael Griffey, that's all.
Hey.
I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that. That's no answers to any questions. Doesn't even want to know what we're here for over the death of a man. And Rodney
Here we go. Here it comes.
Well, that is Rodney Meekins.
Now I'm really confused. Why leave his own property? And why take off in such a hurry?
There he is there. Slow down. Calm down. Not in front of him. He might ram you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate.
We just want to have a chat with you, Rodney.
No, easy. You got to leave him go. Leave him go. What do you even make of that? Oh, he's panicking, right? That's a guy who's panicking. But
that's not normal behaviour. The family went to Rodney's house, right?
Yeah, the whole family went to his house on that night, the night that he died. The whole family went there and they stayed there for 2 days before they came back for the New Year's Eve party. So...
No, in any man's language, he's a key witness in the case.
He's a key witness, yeah. He's a key witness.
We're not getting anywhere. Only more questions than answers. Anyone connected to Diane and Cassie seem quick to anger, unlikely to help. It's time I talk to Diane. Primarily, I want to give her a list of questions, a fair chance to reply.
Diane, the Denim from Channel 7. Got some questions for you. I've written them down. I'm not going to yell at you. Just want to know a couple of things. Diane, can you take this? Just take it with you. Just take it with you, please. There you go. You can get back to me at any time. Diane, it's been a long time. Might be time to talk. No surprises. But the main thing is she took a list of questions and they outline everything that we'd like to know. There's 9 questions for her, 6 questions for Cassie.
It's a sunny day at Pakenham Cemetery. I'm looking for the grave of Michael Griffey. Odd, I know. But I read a newspaper report, a photo, that showed a small and unloved gravesite, at odds with a man who, on paper at least, was worth $2.4 million. I wanted to see it for myself.
I know from a newspaper article that Michael Griffey's grave here at Pakenham Cemetery was a virtual pauper's grave. It was overrun by grass with a makeshift plaque. Then, just 5 years ago, turned into this. Someone was feeling guilty. Diane, the Denim from Channel 7. Got some questions for you. I've written them down. I'm not going to yell at you. Just want to know a couple of things. Diane, can you take this? Just take it with you. Just take it with you, please. There you go. You can get back to me at any time.
Now that Diane knows we are chasing this story, Cassie is nowhere to be seen. But they have a list of questions, along with my email and phone number. I even left a business card in their letterbox. For Diane, was she a victim of domestic abuse? How much did she know about Michael's mistresses? The finance supposedly organised and explained in those text messages. Who was that with? How was her mobile phone and Michael's phone together on that day in Dandenong? Did she know Michael was planning to take her out of his will? Kenny saw her with broken teeth on the day Michael was killed. How did that happen? How was it possible to see the striped sheet underneath the tarpaulin covering the body? For Cassie, only 6 questions. Back in 2009, why did she confess? And what about this post on MySpace?
I love you with all my heart. I'm sorry for everything. Please forgive me one day.
What does she want forgiveness for? Did Michael ever harm her in any way? Why did she pull Shannon Meekins out of the garage during the New Year's Eve party? Why didn't she call her father's mobile phone on the day she heard he was missing? And finally, something simple. What is it that we don't understand? I'm convinced, apart from Diane and Cassie, that Shannon and Rodney hold the key. We decide to approach Rodney one more time. Rodney! Rodney, calm down. Mate, calm down. Calm down. I just want to know about the phone calls.
So what Rodney is saying right now is potentially crucial evidence to a mystery that has got more twists and turns than we or anybody could have imagined. I'm dying to know what's being said. Okay, he's coming now.
Well, that was very, very interesting. He says that on the day, the whole family came back to his place on the day that police say Michael was killed, and that he held Diane in his arms that night, and he's absolutely certain that she didn't do it.
Did he say anything about the phone call?
Can't remember.
Can't remember the phone call.
You can't remember what the phone call was about, the phone call in between the text messages or the 9-minute one after the second phone call. He doesn't remember. He then said police interviewed him on the day the body was found, and they never interviewed him afterwards. 18 months after the body was found, Cassie sat in the front seat of his car and told him that she killed Michael. This revelation is a shock, but it reminds me of something Kenny said, something I initially dismissed as being too far-fetched. A conversation between Cassie and Diane.
Cassie had told her that she'd killed him, so she told Diane the course of events, and it was that she'd killed him, gone and had a shower, put all her bloody clothes into a bag, that she dumped the bag along the way.
So Diane had told you that Cassie told her she put all her bloodied clothes into a bag.
And the weapon, which was a mash hammer.
And Diane specifically mentioned that that was the weapon?
Yes. Yeah,
was that weapon missing from the toolbox?
Yep. Yeah, from the garage bench it was, yeah. I was shocked more than anything, I suppose, in that... Not that she'd be capable. She is unique and always has been. She's always been really cold. She, out of all of us, is probably the most capable of not only killing Dad, but hiding it and not feeling guilt.
Right. Hey.
Sorry, but I know it's late, but Taylor sent me this message, says, "You're not going to believe this, come to the room." So I've
Figured as soon as you're just down the corridor, you may as well come. Yo! Hey!
Mate, you're not going to believe this.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's a confession, a video confession.
Bullshit.
Honestly.
Really?
No,
what, sent to you what, by email?
Mate, a video. Have a look at this.
We've been on this story for months, and now the key to solving a man's murder could be in this video. The video is from a few years ago. The woman screaming is Cassandra Griffey. Trying to stop her, hold her down, is Diane. It's some kind of gathering at a house, maybe a house party. This video has never been seen, not by friends, not by family, and especially not by the police.
Calm down, please. Hey, Gordon! Hey, whoa! Think of that bastard! Hey, come on!